Hey guys, it's Maple here once again with just a bit more update and sort of conclusion about this build, whatever we want to call it. Saboteur, Triggerbots, Prismatic Burst, Reap, Glacial Cascade, Ice Nova, Frenzy, Spellslinger thing. Yep. This character was, in the end, I actually felt a lot better about it than kind of how I think I sounded last video. It mapped pretty nice and just had some fairly satisfying gameplay for the most part in most aspects of PoE. It didn't really go through to Ubers, like I ended up killing good few bosses like Guardians, Fourways, that sort of thing, and then tried one Uber Shaper, I think it was, and it just didn't feel great for that because our single target it really isn't good enough. So the character gets to a point where it can farm tier 16 maps pretty comfortable, and crucibles can be somewhat dangerous, and a few other little scenarios might be a bit dangerous, but got to 93 without too many issues, and for the most part freezing things is nice. The knockback on Glacial Cascade helps a lot as well, and then we've got a few little defenses at our disposal to take some hits. It still doesn't feel super comfortable having petrified blood the way it is, because like your life is at half and it's, you know, a bit hard to tell if you're gonna die or taking damage sometimes, but ultimately it didn't cause too many issues and didn't get us killed too often. And if you really want to be a bit safer, you can turn RF off for certain maps, and then I've got like 1,000 regen with only 2,000 life, so it becomes pretty you know, good sustain. So all in all, I warmed up to the character while mapping for another day on it, and getting through lots of higher tier maps and crucibles and sort of league mechanic stuff. But crucibles still very dangerous, and that's where I felt the lack of single target compared to, let's say, Ice Shot a lot more. With Ice Shot, I could basically stand back, do whatever the fuck I wanted with good evasion and as well as good range, and also have like fucking 5 times a single target and just blast through everything. So for that, it's a bit of a sad comparison, because Ice Shot is a starter character. It didn't take super big investment, and it was gonna be really tough to beat as a sort of character for build of the league even overall, because it was just so effective at what it did for so little investment. And then this thing, it's a huge mess of skills and playstyle, and ends up being less effective by a good margin. So the best thing about the build is basically also the worst thing about the build, and that is the visuals. So the visuals are stunning to begin with. Prismatic Burst looks amazing with its big explosive circle sphere thing, when you actually can notice it sometimes, like on a boss, for example. Yep, get a big prismatic burst. It does okay damage. I think the best version of it is going to be with a Forbidden Shaco, which gives you up to a level 35 prismatic burst. So there's that visual. The Glacial Cascade's really big and looks spiky and pretty. The Ice Novas are nice, and the Reap is putting in pretty good work. Like individually, each of these skills put in like their own fair share to make up the sum of their parts a decent combo. If you take anything out, then it is somewhat noticeable. But yeah, after a while, like, it looks great, but then after a while you can't really see shit, and you kind of need to see shit in this game these days. I'm a lot of the time dodging bosses and attacks just off of pure intuition, knowing what's coming next and what I'm like currently fighting is going to be doing. So it does get a bit annoying at that point, where you'd love some visual clarity, because just kind of YOLOing every single encounter does get a little bit old. So like I said, it's one of the best parts of the build. When we first got it online, I was like, holy shit, the visuals on this, it's crazy, I love it. And then by the end of it, I'm like, I am really ready for a character that just looks normal, and lets me do some normal shit. So this is just some footage of what the bossing looks like. Guardians and Conquerors and whatever with some decent rolls on their maps occasionally. Would occasionally die, just depending on the role on the map, because it could get like one shot by certain things. But for the most part, the DPS against this stuff is okay, and it is roughly where it should be. So yeah, this is a 4-way, and it's got, I think, additional proj, and that's really hard to mitigate and avoid all the damage on it. And the damage isn't so insane that I can just delete them immediately. So I think on these 4-ways, if I rolled them bad enough, I'd die usually at least like once. And a lot of that is because there isn't much visual clarity, so I don't exactly know what these guys are doing. Like, I didn't see that guy spawned and then threw his lob, which I would usually be pretty good at dodging on most other characters. And then, yeah, then cleaned it up, came back in, no big deal. You could just turn RF off, like I said, to like have a lot better sustain, but RF is a lot of our damage, so then the fight would go on a bit longer, so then that's a bit annoying. And this is an Elder Slayer Guardian map, 4-way thing, and yeah, look, it's okay once you get some good crits, and once you get to fight one-on-one, it's not too bad, but once you get up to Ubers, that's when the DPS is apparent that it's not big enough, and it's a whole slog of a fight. So I only tried out Shaper. I'm pretty sure I could take on like Shaper, Maven, maybe Uber Eater. There's plenty that I think I could do, but it'd be not very worth it. It would definitely be a hard fight, and just, yeah, not really worth the effort or the time. So really, if you don't care about Ubers, and you shouldn't, like, it's just a silly requirement in the game to siphon out a lot of builds, then the build's okay, and it's probably going to be one of the flashiest things you'll ever play, but there's definitely much better builds out there. And for that, if you roll this or try this and you start dying, or the DPS isn't big enough because you haven't put it together the exact same way, or you're expecting to go into Ubers or some shit and get a reality check, then I apologize. That's all I can do. I've put together a flashy mess, and that's exactly what it is, a mess. So with that, I'm rolling on to the next character. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.